Bleach episode 29 sheds light on the past of one Jushiro Ukitake, his relationship with Shunsui Kiraku, as well as the deity god Mimihagi. I'm your host Ab-Stract, and this is the Ab-Stract section. Let's get started. Episode 29 starts off with Ukitake informing everyone that he will replace the Soul King. He discards his captain uniform as he draws his Zanpakuto toe. Now looking at Jushiro, we see he has a less than average build and is somewhat thin, as we can clearly see his rib lining. But this is just a testament to his strength as a captain. To be able to compete at the highest level despite his frail body holding him back makes me wonder how powerful he would have truly been had he not been born ill. With his Zanpakuto toe drawn, he begins to chant the phrases that would release Mimihagi. Next we get a younger Jushiro Ukitake in his home with his parents chanting a similar phrase but slightly altered. They call upon Mimihagi but to save their son, and in exchange for this deed, devour his innards. Now what I really like here is that Mimihagi is actually worshipped as a god and people actually believe in him. So much so that they erected a shrine in reverence. The reason the shrine is important is because it makes your connection to that figure that much stronger. This is a beautiful motif of channeling a specific deity. And not only do they have a correct and accurate depiction of Mimihagi, they also actually know his name. And as you guys already know, in Bleach, that is far more important. Moving on. Either moved by his parents' tears and their desperate prayers, or the young boy's innocence, we see Mimihagi manifest as a tear itself from the shrine and enter Jushiro's inner world. The conversation between them transcends any form of verbal communication. In fact, I'm not even sure if they communicated at all. But as the two stand there, Mimihagi again begins to cry. And as if beckoned to Mimihagi, Jushiro approached him and intuitively grabbed hold of a single tear and began to drink it. Much like Mimihagi first entering Jushiro through a tear is the medium through which Jushiro now accepts Mimihagi into not only his body, but his very soul. We see after consuming the tear, Jushiro undertakes a change that is identical to Mimihagi, but in all black. Next we cut to a scene in the Rukon district, and hold up, this place is never looked this clean. What is going on? Look at this floor. You could literally eat off the floor of this Rukon guy. That's crazy. Like, did Rukia, Toshiro, and Renji just grow up on the super poor side of the Rukon guy or something? Or is this place in general just much more affluent because of the time period? We'll be back to that. After the conversation with the man that got beat up by the old lady, we see Ukitake spit up blood, letting us know that although he is better, he is far from being in perfect health, even during this time. We cut to Shunsui and Muken going to visit a certain someone. Oh my god, it's Aizen! The next scene we get is Ukitake following up on his plan to become a Soul Reaper and fighting none other than his future bestie, Shunsui Kiraku. And he looks a bit older, so we're just going to assume some time has passed since he joined the academy. Now what's interesting here is that both of them are using a dual wielding style of sword fighting. This would suggest to us that both of them achieve Shikai at this point, and simply training with a single sword would be pointless. Moving on to the actual fight, Shunsui and Jushiro are pretty much an even match for each other, with Unohana and Yamamoto praising Jushiro for his sword skills. And we know he's praising Jushiro and not Shunsui because Shunsui's relationship with Yamamoto goes back further than Ukitake's, as we see in Core 1, Episode 7. So Yama would already know how good of a fighter Shunsui is because he's been around him since he was a young boy, which means he's seen his development. And based off that, we know he is praising Ukitake for keeping pace. As their duel continues, Ukitake begins to cough up blood, and very much in character, Shunsui does not care. He holds nothing back while fighting. This actually makes me think back to the fake Karakura Town battle. Shunsui tells Stark that Jushiro would never do anything to hurt Lily Net, but he never mentions himself not harming the girl, and we see Stark pick up on this and he starts to fight harder. But back to their duel. Ukitake again coughs up blood, and as if a shark in bloody waters, Shunsui moves to capitalize on his weakened adversary. As the two go for their final attacks, the match is stopped. Next we get some slice of life stuff with Jushiro and Shunsui becoming very good friends and hanging out while at the academy. Jushiro even invites Shunsui to Mimihagi's shrine where they discuss the theories about the Soul King and Mimihagi. The next scene is Ukitake talking with Central 46 about not taking on a new lieutenant after the death of Kain Shiba. And what I enjoyed here was seeing both Shunsui and Ukitake tell Central 46 the same thing, that being that the authority to appoint a lieutenant lies solely with its captain. Shunsui said this to have 2 lieutenants, and Jushiro is using it to not appoint any. Hooray for loopholes. Next we get the OG captains meeting, and I like this addition for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the people who have known and been around Yamamoto the longest, mourning him and trying to figure out the next steps. Number 2, it appears that the staff has set something new now that may end up being a big payoff later. Shunsui mentions having to give an order, and that order being difficult to give as head captain. Now I don't think it's the Unohana and Kenpachi fight because number one, she's standing right there, and number two, they would have already had that conversation. And as we can see, the look on her face when talking to Ukitake says she's ready to do whatever's necessary. So I don't think it's that. And I don't think it was for Ukitake to perform the Kamikake, as Shunsui only figured out Yhwach's goal was the Soul King in Core 2. So I definitely believe that the staff has set something big up with whatever order he gave to whoever, and we're gonna find out either this core or the next core. Moving on, I saw some people saying Ukitake's goodbye to Unohana is actually an Easter egg for the Hell arc, and after thinking it over, I'm inclined to agree with them. Reason being, both these characters know what awaits them, and that's only certain death. The only other place they could meet would be hell. Back to the recap. Now, Ukitake finally summons Mimihagi and explains to everyone what it is in his life's purpose. He basically says, since the day he was saved, he knew he would have to give his life to protect the Gote 13. Moving over to Ichigo and friends, all of them are attacking Yhwach. Nothing's working. He has the Almighty up. But hold up a minute. Hold up. What is that? Is that Chad? Did Chad just lay a hand on his majesty? That's more than we can actually say for Yamamoto. Look, I don't make the rules, right? According to Power Scalers, Chad would be above Yamamoto because he was able to tag him while he's in his almighty form. Yes, I know he didn't actually hurt him, but he was able to touch him. That's more than we can say for Yamamoto and Ichigo. What are we talking about? Let's go, Chad. So the trembling is going on. The Soul King's power is fading, and Orihime cannot actually reverse the events that have happened. But down below, Ukitake fully releases Mimihagi, and as soon as he breaches the barrier, the trembling stops. Now guys, this is a ridiculous speed feat that I will not count, but just know that it exists, okay? Remember, it took Ichigo 8 to 9 hours to traverse the same distance that Mimihagi did in literally a few seconds. All I'm saying is Bleach continues to have the best speed feats out of the big three. Fight me. Now it's important to note, Yhwach could not see Mimihagi in his future at all, and by that same token, he shouldn't be able to manipulate its future. And like per Nida, this of course is due to being a part of the Soul King Adonais. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. The GOAT himself. Hold up. We gonna do that again. Cut. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. The GOAT himself. Mr. It was all a part of my plan. Give it up for the Black Coffin God. Give it up for Daddy Aizen, you motherfuckers. Sorry about that. I always get a little excited when Sosuke is on screen, if you catch my drift. Know what I mean? As Shunsui makes his way into Mugen, he asks Aizen if he would like to communicate using spiritual pressure. Now, I wasn't aware this was even a thing, and it adds more context to Aizen and Yhwach's conversation and why we clearly saw Aizen's mouth moving despite Shunsui telling us his mouth has been sealed for 2 years. So I'm glad they kind of like put that in there because it adds clarification, because I promise I saw Aizen's mouth moving talking to Yhwach, but it is what it is. So Shunsui goes to undo Aizen's first seal, which covers his mouth. He thinks after this long without talking it might be hard for Aizen, but not only can Aizen speak perfectly fine, he had already undid 2 other seals himself, and just to be petty, he had Shunsui undo the other ones anyway. So I'm curious as to why he only chose to stop at 3. Does he lack the power to undo all of the seals himself, or is it that undoing all of them might passively kill everyone in there, including Shunsui, and Aizen didn't want to do that? Moving on, Shunsui wants to know if Aizen would like to leave Mugen and assist the Gote in protecting the Soul Society. Their back and forth is much like a who needs more who scenario, because on the one side, without Aizen, their chances of stopping Yhwach are extremely low, and on the other side, if Aizen chooses to not participate, he is subject to however Yhwach wishes to create the new world. We see the conditions for Shunsui to even talk with Aizen are very heavy, so he was only allowed to use 3 keys to unseal certain parts of him, number 1, and number 2, he had to have the key to Mugen inserted directly into his body as insurance so that Aizen wouldn't recklessly kill him. I like these details because it shows just how much of a threat Aizen still is to the Soul Society as a whole. Like, under no circumstances is he allowed to leave Mugen unsupervised or without heavy restriction and cost. They're so afraid of him that they would potentially let the world be destroyed than give him a chance to save it. Who is your GOAT? Lastly, we see Aizen using the evolved version of Infinity, and it is beautiful. Keep in mind, this is only with 3 seals removed, and guess what? None of the seals at the wrist have been taken off, so his body is passively generating enough energy to destroy a human body. That is crazy. But wow guys, what a good episode. I give that one a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed the Ukitake backstory and lore, as well as everything that was set up for the next episode. Finally, Aizen is back out. Please do not let this distract you from the fact that Chad landed a hit on Yhwach. And yeah, we'll see you guys next episode. Ab-Stract out. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel.